Hey, family, welcome to the Jamal Bryant Podcast. Let's be clear. Today, we're going to get some clarity. Just because you heard it doesn't mean that it's true. Just because you think you know doesn't mean that it's real. Today, we are going to have an engaging, intimate conversation with one of the most discussed spiritual leaders in America today, Bishop Lamor Whitehead. Welcome, brother. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you for having me here, brother.
Oh, no, this is a pop-up conversation. In this, our first season, we have never been to anybody's home.
Wow.
So thank you for opening up your doors and allowing us to come in and trusting us in this space. I'm grateful.
Man, I'm grateful that you had me here, brother.
Yeah.
And thank you for opening your platform for me.
Talk to me first about the Sunday morning robbers came into your worship.
Man, wow. First of all, I like I said, I thank you, man, for allowing me this platform and giving me the opportunity. The robbery, wow. That
first, can you believe that's been 2 years?
No, man.
Yeah.
That's just it felt like it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
So, wow, such a touchy place for me because on that Sunday, we were having communion Sunday, and my deaconess was in their white, deacons was in their black. We all had our robes on, and I was in the pulpit, and praise and worship had just ended, and I get up and I literally was in the pulpit for maybe 9 minutes, and I'm in the pulpit. I open my Bible, I started to pray, and I'm looking at the parishioners, and I can see everything that happens first.
Yeah.
Because everybody have their back turned to the door.
By chance, when you go into the story, by chance, I know it's a long time ago, do you have any memory on what you were preaching that Sunday?
I was preaching, so I forgot the topic of it, but I know that I was preaching from a subject saying that in order for you and in order for me to preach something to you, I have to go through it first.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I was saying was God allows leaders to go through an experience in order to teach you. Once I started to get into the sermon, and I never said this to no one before, but there was like a rushing like wind, like a hot type of wind, and the door opened. But the door opened so suddenly, it just like nobody opens the door like that.
All right.
And it's so suddenly. Then I saw 3 men like low saying, "Everybody, nobody moves, nobody move." And when he did that, I immediately, my spirit said, "Get down because they want you." And I said, all right, to alarm and alert my team, my people.
Right.
Like, all right. Like, I'm going to get down. Nobody do nothing.
Right.
So I got down, I laid down, and I'm watching them position themselves.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so it makes me mad.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Because where I'm from.
Yeah.
I ain't never been robbed in my life.
Wow.
So,
what is more angering for you, that it happened or that within the hour, everybody acted as if it was manufactured?
My thing is this, right? If you're going to rob me, you ain't had to do it in there, right?
Yeah.
I'm outside. I'm a different type of preacher. Like, I'm to the streets. I'm to regular people. I'm walking through projects with all my jury out. If you wanted to do something, you had a gun.
Yeah.
Why are you going to come into God's house? I'm laying down there and I'm watching how these dudes form. One dude had the door. One other guy came straight to the pulpit. and one dude went straight to my wife and my 8-month-old daughter.
Wow.
So I'm watching this. So the one guy came and he took my wedding band off, he took my bracelet off, and he took my watch. And then there's one guy in front of me, because my wife was sitting in front of me, and he got the gun to her face. So me now, in my mind, like, yo, do you know who you are? Why are you letting this happen?
Right.
And all this stuff is happening in a split second.
Right.
And then I'm hearing, don't move, because if you move, it could be fatal. So, but I'm seeing a gun in my wife's face.
Yeah.
And then I see him taking her earrings, and then he transferred the gun in his other hand, and now it's in my daughter's face. Wow. And my daughter's 8 months old. So, but I'm seeing a gun in my wife's face.
Yeah.
And then I see him taking her earrings, and then he transferred the gun in his other hand, and now it's in my daughter's face. Wow. And my daughter's 8 months old. So my wife put my daughter like behind her, beside her, and then the guy that was taking my stuff off, he leaves. The one that was that had the gun in my wife's face, you would think he left too, because it was a guy that was already on me. But no, he comes back around, he comes up, and he say, I know you got more. So he got the gun to my head. So they didn't take my apostles ring. The other guy just took my wedding band, my watch, and my bracelet, but he left my ring on. So he was like, give me this right here. And he took my apostle ring off. And then he took my, I had a Cuban with my cross on. He took that off. And then he was like, where's that? What else you got? What else you got? So I had my clergy collar on. So I had my other chain underneath my my robe, my shirt. And this chain was bigger. This chain was my big Cuban link. And this was the chain that I had, was 100 carats, but it's underneath my vest. And so he started tapping. Where's that? Where's that? Where's that? So I know this is some type of setup. Yeah, so he grabs my clergy collar and starts yanking me. And he can't yank this chain off. It's triple locked. You know, he's like, take it off. So I took it off, and he took it, and he ran out. And when he ran, I jumped up. He hit the door, and I went behind him. And my thing in my mind was, I got to get in my truck, and I'm going to run them over.
Yeah.
I'm going to run them over. All I need to do is get in my truck.
Right.
So I run downstairs, and I forgot my key upstairs. So my armor bearer ran up. I said, get my key. He came, got my key. I saw which way they went. So I jumped in my car. My deacons jumped in the car, 2 of them, and I made a U-turn because I know they can't outrun the car.
Right.
So I make a U-turn, then I make a right turn, and I'm looking like they couldn't go too far. They could not. So I'm driving. So we drive about 2, 3, maybe 4 blocks down, and then I make a U-turn and come back. So now the police is there, because this happened online.
Yeah.
So the police is there, and I see them. I come back to the block, and I see the police talking to regular bystanders.
Yeah.
And I roll the window down, and I said, did y'all see them? So they're telling the police that they jumped in a car. So I must have drove by them and didn't know.
Wow.
Or they jumped in the car, and they must have stayed there, and I drove by them. We just drove around the neighborhood, just driving around the neighborhood, just trying to see anything. I came back to the church, and all of the top NYPD officials, they were at my church, and then that's when the mayor called me and asked me, was I okay? I said, yeah, I'm all right. And I just was dealing with my church. And ironically, I told my church, I said, I really want to move forward with the word. But they was like, Bishop, nah, this is too heinous or whatever. You know, but you know, as preachers, when we have a duty, man, you know, we have a duty. And whatever the devil tried to do, I didn't, you know. So that's what happened.
Let me first say I'm glad you were okay, that your family was safe, and that it didn't go a different way.
2 of them got caught. I think it was 2 or 3 months after. And within those 3-month period, the world destroyed my name. They all said I set the robbery up for an insurance job.
Right.
They all said that it was an inside job, and they destroyed my name. And they said I set the robbery up. When 2 of the men got caught out of the 3, people started to get quiet. But nobody's talking about the 3rd guy who just got caught in January. He was on a run for over a year. And he was in a hotel, and he came out with a gun. They surrounded it. He came out with a gun shooting at the marshals, federal marshals, and they killed him. So,
wow.
Yeah, and this was the one that got killed was the one that put the gun in my wife's face.
And they confirmed that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's dead.
No, they confirmed that this is the guy who was in the church.
Yeah, they confirmed it.
Within 24 hours, you were viral. So every late night show, every morning radio show, and it wasn't even about the safety. What was the lead was, I think that they gave estimates of hundreds of $1,000s worth of jewelry. Not about your child or your welfare. New York is the home of Reverend Ike, but you are not a prosperity preacher.
Not at all.
Yes. And so people assume that you got these gains through people tithing in the church, giving in the church, or handed over their last will and testament. How were you able to amass independent wealth? Because what people don't know is you've never taken a salary from your church.
Ever.
Yeah.
Never. And this year, I'll be 11 years as a pastor. Wow. Never once took a salary from my church.
Yeah.
And it was so hurtful to me and it didn't even make sense. You know, the tabloids say I have 20 members, but yet the 20 members is taking care of my whole lifestyle. Right. Then they said I got 8 members. And then he said so is the 8 members taking care of my lifestyle? So it just didn't measure. But I'm not a prosperity preacher, never been.
Yeah.
Right. And if people do know me, I'm the one who pays the rent for people that need, pays mortgages. I done bought, I think 2 people in my church, maybe more, maybe 3, brand new cars.
Yeah.
Because they're single parents, right? This is what I do that people don't know,
right.
You know? And to be labeled as stealing from the church and stealing from people. And it's like, no, I'm into real estate. I've been doing real estate over 20 years.
Wow.
I've always had a nice car. Just because I got 2 Rolls Royces now doesn't mean that I took it from the church. Like I've had Bentleys, Range Rovers, you name it. I had all the cars. That's just me. And I always was into jewelry. I like houses. I like to purchase houses, cars, and jewelry. That's just what I like to do. And clothes.
Yeah.
But you know, and for them to place me and stigmatize me as a ripper, I'm ripping people off was just crazy to me. So I've never been a prosperity preacher, Jamal. I've never been a prosperity preacher, and one of the main things in my ministry when I started it, I said, we're going to pass the collection plate for tithes one time. Whatever you're going to do for God, you're going to do for God, and that's it.
Right.
You know? So I never try to push nor force anyone to give anything.
No.
You know? However, but this is the narrative that they created, because people have to create a narrative, so therefore they can not want to come to church.
How do you get the freedom beyond people's opinion? Because with all of the glare, all of the discussion, all of the controversy, you didn't come out here in a black suit. Oh, you didn't.
Right.
You're like, hey, if they're going to talk about it, let me give them something to talk about. At what point did you make up in your mind, or tell me, did you ever wrestle to say, you know what, Lamar, let me just tone this down. The black is too hot. Let me not be the one who wears the chinchilla to the fight and it throws off everything. At any point where you're like, okay, I'm gonna scale this down a little bit. How did you get to the place like, whatever, y'all gonna talk about me, have it?
If I take the L off my name, will I still be Lamar? If I take the W off my name, will I still be Whitehead? Right? I'm not gonna let no one take no letters off my name or out of my name. I'm who I am. Like I tell my ministry, you stop, you die. Don't let nothing or no one change you.
Yeah.
Okay? And I believe in who God made me. And you know, my preachers, my publicists, and all of them say, Bishop, you gotta calm down, just calm down. But when I try to, then I feel like I'm not being me. and I can't be phony. I'm just this type of person. What you see is what you get.
Right.
So if you're gonna hate, you're gonna hate regardless.
Yeah.
Right? Whether I ride in a Rolls Royce or not, broke people are gonna still be broke.
Yeah.
Right? If I want to get into a Honda, you still who you are.
Right.
So I'm not going to change because of your inconsistencies, right? We got the same 24 hours in a day. Right. Now, if I had 25 hours, then I say, let me tone it down because God gave me an advantage.
Right.
But the hell that I got to go through to be Lamar Whitehead, I grew up in the most roughest part of Brooklyn there was and there is, right? And I survived. So just because people don't like what I wear, why? Because it's name brand? Like, so I had to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I was telling my team, like, okay, now you have to make it make sense to me in order for me to say okay, right?
Yeah.
And y'all not making sense. I know it's hot. I know the heat is hot, but at the end of the day, too much is given, much is required.
Yeah.
I grew up in the most roughest part of Brooklyn there was and there is, right? And I survived. So just because people don't like what I wear, why? Because it's name brand? Like, so I had to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I was telling my team, like, okay, now you have to make it make sense to me in order for me to say okay, right?
Yeah.
And y'all not making sense. I know it's hot. I know the heat is hot, but at the end of the day, too much is given, much is required.
Yeah. The courts in New York said that an older woman got defrauded and found you guilty. I want you to talk about what were the charges and where you are now.
So, as the world know, I was found guilty of 5 charges. The first charge was wire fraud. It was defrauding Pauline Anderson for $90,000. The second charge was
Pauline Anderson's the lady's name.
Yes.
And this old lady, how old is she?
She's only 50, I think 3 years old. She's not old at all. This is all the hype, right? This is all the hype.
Okay.
Elderly lady. Oh, now you're not supposed to take from nobody, but they put extra to it to make me look like just this bad pastor, right? Because you have to understand, Jamal, the reason why people don't like Bishop is for 2 reasons, right? He set up the robbery at his church, and he robbed the old lady. Yeah. When you clear up those 2 narratives, now what? The second charge is attempt wire fraud of Brandon Belmonte. They never even said what was attempted to be taken at all, right? They said it was a building, and they said it was money. Attempt extortion was the third charge, where they said that I was extorting Brandon Belmonte, right, for $5,000.
Now, Brandon related to this old lady, how?
No, Rashid Anderson was her son, but Brandon Belmonte was a federal informant that played as if he's a victim because they wanted to take down the mayor, Eric Adams. So we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
And then the fourth charge was lying to an FBI agent. Okay, we're going to talk about that. And the fifth charge was wire fraud for an allegedly trying to take $250,000. So let's go to the first count, Pauline Anderson. So my wife's car had got into an accident. So this gentleman, Brandon Belmonte, he owned a body shop. Yeah. He was introduced to me through another friend of mine. So my wife got into an accident. Somebody hit her car. And I said, brother, I need you to fix the car. He said, all right, cool. I'm going to send you a rental car. I said, no problem. So he sends me a rental car, comes pick the car up, my wife's car, but the rental car he gave me was broken.
Oh, Lord.
Now, my daughter was just born, right? My baby. And she was born in November, so she's 3 months old, screaming, yelling, and I'll take care. So I called him. He said, listen, whatever you have to pay for another rental car, I'll give it back. No problem. I did not know that he was a federal informant. Right? Now I know this.
Right.
And now it's starting to it made sense. So he never was fixing the car. And I would go down there and I said, yo, the car's still the same. Wow. So we would be arguing about the car, right? So he would call me knowing that he just already agitated me and he's recording me and I didn't even know he was recording me. So he's recording me in rage and in anger And this is how he's saying that I extorted him, because I told him I need my $5,000 so I can do what I need to do. You're not going to get away with my $5,000. So now we're in the months of March, and he's like, all right, don't worry about it. I'm going to give you the money. Listen, I got some property that I want to sell you. I know you, I'll be watching your videos, and I want you to, I own properties in the Bronx. So I said, all right, cool. Let me know, because what I wanted to do, I wanted to buy more apartment complexes so I can house homeless and shelter people there.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that he was lying to me about all of this, but yet the FBI was already involved with him. Now they have created this whole narrative that I'm trying to get property from him in exchange for favors with the mayor. But I'm just telling you information that I know now, but then I didn't know. So he's just telling me about properties that he owned that I want to purchase, right? He didn't own the properties. He never sent me any of the properties. So now I'm saying to him, brother, you are playing games with me. I don't need nothing from you. Finish my wife's car, give me my $5,000 and go your way, right? So he began to argue with me. I didn't know I'm being recorded.
Yeah.
So now he's making it seem like I'm violent. But no, I'm arguing with you about my wife's car. I'm arguing with you about giving me what I need. So then he says, listen, I'm going to bring the money to you or whatever. I'm going to bring the money to you and we're going to take care of it. So then he says, listen, I'm going to bring the money to you or whatever. I'm going to bring the money to you and we're going to take care of it. So he comes to my house. He bring the $5,000 and he says, listen. So he told me how him and his father has a hard money company, and I own a 40-unit complex. And I was doing renovations. And he was in Connecticut.
Okay.
So, and by the way, I own, as an African-American, I own the largest piece of property in Hartford, Connecticut.
Wow.
As African-American, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is another reason why I'm being attacked, right? And they know this, right? So, so now I'm renovating out there. He's like, listen, since we're going to do business, because he's trying to clean everything up now, since we're going to do business, I want you to let us lend you the money or whatever. I said, all right, you can lend me the money, no problem. He started to renege on that. I'm saying, listen, send me your attorney's information. Here's my attorney information. He's reneging on that.
Wow.
Now that I do know what's going on, they're recording me. And the FBI and him are working together. So now he goes to the FBI in April, but he was already with them.
Yeah.
He goes to the FBI in April and says, this man is trying to extort me. He goes to the FBI in April and says, this man is trying to extort me, right? And he said, I put him on the phone with the mayor of New York, and the mayor of New York on FaceTime told him to do business with me, and we're going to do things under the table for him. So he tells that, and this is all in, and I want the world to understand this. This is all documented, and these are in statements called 302s, okay? So this is not privy to the world, right? So he says that I put him on FaceTime with the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, and Eric Adams told him to do business with me, and we're going to do big things, and we're going to do things under the table, and all this other stuff he said. So then he says that I told him that I was going to act like we're purchasing the properties, and I was going to get fraudulent federal grants for homeless and shelters, right? Wow. But actually, I'm going to flip the buildings as free market rent. So all this is in my documentation, and these are all the lies that him and the FBI are teaming up to do. The FBI was in front of my house. I go out for my morning walk. They jump out the car. Now, I know I'm working in a little backwards, but here is count 4, and y'all going to understand the line to the FBI, why they said it. Yeah. So when they jump out the car on me, they said, you're not under arrest, but we have a warrant for your phone, right? So I put my hands up. They snatched the phone out my hand. I said, what is this about? So what is this about? He said, we have a warrant for your phone. If you want to talk, we could talk. I said, and they said, we got a warrant for your church. So people don't know this.
Wow.
Yeah, we got a warrant for your church. I said, for my church. So I said, can we get out of the streets? Because I don't want my neighbors to see all of this. And let's go inside of my home. And I got the video too, right? So we go inside of my house. And I said, what are you talking about? You got a warrant for my church. And why are y'all taking my phone? And he said, well, we heard there's guns in your church. Wow. We want you to help us get the mayor of New York. I said, what? I want y'all to really put your thinking caps on, okay? June 8th, the FBI comes to my house and said, we heard you got guns in your church, okay? I said, guns in my church? I said, you kidding me? So they said, listen, we don't want you. We want the mayor of New York. We want you to help us get the mayor of New York. I said, what?
You standing by this witness
Yes.
that they are committed to bringing down this black mayor of New York.
1,000%.
And that you are the casualty of your loyalty to friendship.
1,000%.
I'm a law school dropout.
Right.
I've never taken the bar. I've never graduated from law school.
Right.
But I want to read you your rights because you're making some amazing claims against the FBI.
Right.
And so I wanted to pause for just one moment
Right.
to just remind you the ops is watching.
I know. All right.
You standing by this witness
Yes.
that they are committed to bringing down this black mayor of New York.
1,000%.
And that you are the casualty of your loyalty to friendship.
1,000%. I said, let me get some numbers out of my phone so I can get somebody to open the church because I was renting the building.
Right.
And I said, I don't want y'all to kick the door down because it was a glass door. So I said, so they give me the phone numbers. So I leave. I go back in. I try to call the owners of the building. They wasn't picking up because this is like 6 a.m. So everybody's asleep. I finally get them on the phone. I come back out and I said, look, she's going to open the door for you. Here's her number. Y'all can go. So they said, listen, because they just took this phone.
Right.
So they said, do you have another cell phone that we can call you on? Let's just talk. We want to talk to you. I said, no, call my lawyer, right? They charged me for lying because they said that they asked me,
Yes.
do I have another phone? You didn't ask me that. You wanted me to talk against the mayor. And you said, come on, do you have another cell phone that we can call you on? No, you can't call me on another cell phone. You have my lawyer,
All right.
and that's it. You don't need to call me. So for the count 4, lying to a federal agent, it was because of that.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
That's it. Right?
Now, why in your mind